Hey everyone! So today, in honor of Black History Month, we're going to be looking at three notable African American authors throughout time. It's important to acknowledge their contributions to society and the literary world. So, without further ado, let's start with number one, Maya Angelou. Born in Missouri in 1928, Angelou was a spokeswoman for African Americans and women through her various works. Influenced by other famous African American authors like Langston Hughes, W.E.B. Dubois, and Paul Laurence Dunbar, her love of language developed at a young age. Her most famous work, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, was published in 1969 and became the first of seven autobiographies of Angelou's life. Writing for all ages, themes revolving around Black beauty, social justice, and the strength of women and the human spirit are among her most central. Her first collection of poems, Just Give Me a Cool Drink of Water Before I Die, was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize in 1972. The same year, she became the first Black woman to have a screenplay produced. Number two, W.E.B. Du Bois. As an activist, Pan Africanist, sociologist, educator, historian, and prolific writer, W.E.B. Du Bois was one of the most influential African American thought leaders of the 20th century. Because he grew up in Massachusetts as part of the Black elite, it wasn't until attending Fisk University in Tennessee that issues of racial prejudice came to his attention. He wrote some of the earliest scientific studies on Black communities, calling for an end to racism. His thesis, The Suppression of the African Slave Trade to the United States of America, 1638 to 1870, remains an authoritative work on the subject. Calling for organized action and an end to segregation, Jim Crow laws, and political disenfranchisement in America. Dubois' work was not well received at the time of its publication. He went on to help establish the NAACP, where he became editor of its newspaper, The Crisis, and a well-known spokesman for the cause. While less popular than his scholarly books, Dubois' books focused on African American race, covering topics of interracial relationships and economic disparities in the South. Most respected for his scholarly writing, Dubois' concepts, such as the psychology of colonization, explored by Frantz Fanon, continued being researched years later. Number three, Langston Hughes. A catalyst to the Harlem Renaissance, Langston Hughes was one of the first to use jazz rhythms in his works, becoming an early innovator of the literary art form jazz poetry. Hughes was different from other American poets of the time in that he addressed people using language, themes, attitudes, and ideas that they could relate to. Hughes wrote plays, short stories, poetry, several books, and lyrics to a Broadway musical, showcasing his versatility as a writer. He inspired other artists and highlighted the power of art as a catalyst for change, especially writers during the Harlem Renaissance often dedicated their work to Hughes. For example, the play A Raisin in the Sun by playwright Lorraine Hansberry was named for a line from a Langston Hughes poem. So, as you can see, many African American authors throughout history should be celebrated and recognized for their contributions to the literary world. Subscribe for more book lover content with the button on the bottom corner. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.